with Diana Patton of
Diana R. Patton Consulting.
Diana Patton is a speaker, social justice, and integrative health advocacy coach, author, and attorney. She provides self-care and advocacy coaching to school counselors and others in the helps and healing profession so they can continue their work of empowering young people to push past trauma, abuse, and adversities, to find their identity, to train in it, and use their identity in service to others. She also provides consulting and speaking services to school leadership and conducts legal advocacy at the state and national level in support of school counselors. She also speaks to businesses to empower their employees to find their why and use their why to serve others. Diana has worked as the VP COO General Counsel for the Toledo Fair Housing Center, has held several executive director level positions in Fortune 500 companies, has worked in various law firms as a licensed attorney, and is a certified health coach from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. Diana currently serves on the Polly Fox Academy Board, a Toledo-based alternative school for pregnant and parenting adolescents, and on the University of Toledo College of Health and Human Services Board to help improve the human condition. In March 2017, Diana published her inspiring 5-star Amazon-rated autobiography, Inspiration in My Shoes, in which she uses her harrowing personal story to help others find the courage and strength they need to be successful, which primarily involves being secure in their own personal story, their identity, their why, and sharing that with others. Diana lives in Toledo, Ohio, and is married to the love of her life for over 20 years. She has a college-bound freshman who is now mowing the grass. You can hear and a serious tennis-playing daughter. She practices Ashtanga yoga and is a semi-retired runner. I don't know if you ever retire from that, truly. She writes a weekly blog and is very active on social media, inspiring others under the hashtag DP Inspires. Welcome, Diana, to the show.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, that's funny your story. It's funny hearing that. It's like, who is that? Oh.
Well, she believes in having her children do chores, work, right?
Honey, absolutely. Absolutely. And he's mowing the lawn right now, and if I would say, you need to mow the lawn in the back, he'd be like, blah, blah. I'm like, whatever. So we put some earphones in, so hopefully you can hear everything. But he's straight. Oh yeah, chores, absolutely. I'm about discipline. That's training. It's all about the process. I don't tell people stuff that I don't own myself. So yes.
It's training for adulthood.
Absolutely. And he said he had all these things to do, like hang out with his friends. And I'm like, negative. That would be, you're going to hang out with that lawnmower and go get the lawn done.
He wanted to get it over. And I saw Diana like this. She's like, he's texting his girlfriend on his cell phone.
He was.
She got like a bead.
He's trying to figure it out. He's trying to get the schedule post the lawn mowing. And I'm not mad. As long as you get your chores done.
Well, you're pretty amazing. I mean, all that you do, you're an attorney, right? And you're an advocate for young people, and you've written a book, and you're a mom. And I'm just like, I was listening to your book on Audible, and that is pretty spectacular. How did what made you decide to write this book? And how did that process begin?
Well, I didn't want to write it because I didn't want folks all up in my business.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to put your stuff out there and you're like, why? Why would you do something like that? Well, I have a very deep faith, and you're going to get that from my book. And I felt really, honestly, like I knew I wanted to help young girls and young people. But what I always knew when I was their age, there was hardly anyone that I could relate to that was way up here, right? Because where I come from, there aren't a lot of like college degree, master degree people walking around, and they are smiling with you and making you feel like you can just be just like me. So I realized I wanted to be that person. But in order for me to do that, I had to get real. I had to like keep it real. So when I started to write my book, I was like, should I tell the truth or should I just make it pretty and make it kind of like palatable for folks? So I decided to tell the real story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then my girls can go, dang, she's just like me. She's just like me. And she struggled just like me. Because when I come in there, the first thing my girls want to say, and I'll just say for my young people, they always like, where you get those shoes at? Those cute, or where'd you get the outfit? They're not thinking, oh my gosh. I mean, they are, but then they're not. They also are thinking she's an attorney. She's worked, hearing that bio, then they might think, oh, she's really not going to talk to me, or she's not going to be, smiling at me and that kind of thing, which is completely the opposite. And so it's shocking to them because maybe the perceptions that they have of people that have all of that, they don't really talk to people. And then when they put this book up, they're like, wow. That's what I wanted.
Sounds intimidating, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted them to feel like I'm just like you. In fact, I wrote a blog article called I See Pieces of Myself in You.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, because I do.
Wow, that is so beautiful. I know that is true when you're writing a book, because I felt the same way when I was writing my book, The Sisterhood of Sweat. Do I tell the whole truth or do I make it pretty and this thing all wrapped up in a box for people, that's easier for them to read, or do I, tell the truth about my personal struggles and why I am where I'm at and why there is a sisterhood of sweat.
Right.
And I've had very similar experiences to yours, and that's why I resonated so much with your story, Inspiration in My Shoes.
Yeah.
And you did a beautiful job. Oh my gosh, I was listening to the Audible. I love to get a book on Audible because I, like you, I'm a runner. And so I like to work my mind. Sometimes if I'm not just going to connect when I like to work my mind while I'm running and working on my body. So I will digest a book. And so yours is beautifully done. And I know it was not the easiest story for you. Can you tell us a little bit about the story and in your book and the struggles that you faced?
Let me give voice to the book itself and writing the process. I'll say I had help. And Amanda Filippelli is my girl.
It's beautiful.
She helped me so much.
Too.
All right. Yes, that's right. And she helped me get over some of these struggles that I was trying to get through. And so not only she's a great writer, coach, editor, all that stuff, but she's also is so in tune with the human condition and how the vulnerability of that can be intimidating. So, but my story, born in 1968 to a white mom and white dad and a black mom was probably enough said, right? Because in 1968, Black people didn't even have really a good stability because that was the year Martin Luther King was shot. And so you can just imagine in this very small town of Fostoria what it was like. Black people were trying to have their voice, white people were trying to have their voice, and then here are these mixed race kids. So for me growing up, I had that issue. My father was abusive. So there were 7 of us, and I thought he was he had dealt with a lot of mental struggles. We were the recipients of that. My oldest sister ran away when I finally came of knowledge when I was 8 years old, and I started to realize what was really going on. I realized she ran away because my father had molested her. And I didn't know that then, not until I tried to push my dad away when he tried to do the same to me. And I pushed my dad away. And some might ask, how did you, have the strength to do that? I believe every single one of people on this earth are either, there are some people who are made by God to be the defender, to the protector, the person that goes before to give voice to people. And I knew right then when I pushed my dad away that I was that person. Don't get me wrong to say that I didn't have a lot of retaliation from my dad as a result of that. But it was that night I made a decision that I was really just I wanted to be the fighter. I knew I wanted to be an attorney because of LA law, and I love LA law. So I was like, I'm going to be that person. But then my mom really started noticing my junior year. And I was on every single athletic event to get out of the house. Running was what I stuck with. And my mom started to notice me, and because I'm the sixth child, and when you're from a big family, you don't get a lot of time. And my mom worked full time. She was working in the plant. She started noticing me by putting little notes in my track shoes, and I literally ran with those notes in my track shoes. So that's kind of like the story. But then I finally graduate, and that was the day that my mom and dad actually broke up. But you have to know, I grew up breaking up, getting back together, my mom breaking up and getting back together, breaking up and that's how I lived my childhood. Was in and out of Motel 6, my auntie's house, my grandma's house. I grew up like that, still in school. So that's kind of like the first 17 years of that life is what's really described in my book, and all of the many intricate details of that, and giving people a glimpse of what it was like to live in my house with so many different dynamics, So that was that. And then I went on to law school, college. I walked onto the track team. I earned a college scholarship, which was something that I knew I wanted to do. And I worked my butt off. I always tell kids, when you come from, my mom gave me a handshake and a very big kiss and a hug, and good luck, baby, you can do it. When I went to freshman year, I wasn't getting packages. I wasn't getting these kisses and hugs and little messages. You can do it. You can do it. Once my mom dropped me off, she dropped me off, right? 'Cause she got a boyfriend, and I'm not mad at that. And then she started living her life, so I was on my own. So college track finally came around. I earned a track scholarship, and that was my ticket. And I just saw law school, but I wasn't sure. And I was that person always shaking people's hands. Hi, I'm Diana. I'm Diana. Because I'm going to tell you this. Growing up, I had a military father. So I learned manners. I learned how to shake people's hands. I knew how to talk to them. I knew how to walk. That's the one positive thing my dad taught me. And it served me well because I was able to make great connections with people. And as a result of that, I got hooked up with law school and some opportunities as an athlete. Because when you are an athlete, a college athlete, wow, the opportunities are immense if you take advantage of them. And so I did. Got into law school, but I met this guy, and he was a white guy. And what I tell about this in my story was because I was so stuck on the fact that I would never, ever, ever marry a person outside of my race, even though I look African American. I was really somewhat of a bigot. I was against interracial marriages. I went completely opposite. Why? Because of my hurt, because of what my little four corners of the world said, which was stupid and ignorant. And so God had another plan, and he had me marry this man. And I'm so glad that I did. And I knew this man was right for me because when I was in law school, I finally went on to law school. My brother tried to kill my mom. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was, when you come from childhood trauma, everybody deals with it. We have 7 in our family, and everyone has dealt with the issues in their own way. And my brother's was really hard because he tried to kill my mom. And you know how I knew that man was right for me? It was because he took my brother in. I get very emotional when I talk about that. But because we got my brother out of jail, And, we needed him. He needed a place to stay. And so my brother, my husband, boyfriend at the time, David, took him in, no question. So we're going to help him. And we did. And my brother finally, he got accepted to college. He got his license. He lost all this weight because he started running and, things started doing well. And what I didn't know then that I know now, I was doing what I was doing for him is what I do now for people. But then I was just coaching him to realize and believe in himself, to know he was fearfully made, that he's valued and that he has strengths and talent and all this great stuff. And at the time, my grades in law school were slipping so bad. I was getting C's and D's, and I got a couple F's. And I was like, I got to quit law school because I'm no good at this. And I decided I would model full time, and I was going to go to New York. And I told my brother that he would move to New York with me. We got in a really terrible argument. We cussed at each other. This is probably 10 months after he did that. And he was free from probation and everything. And well, we argued and cussed at each other, and I left that argument. And then I told my mom. My mom called me actually later and asked me, how's Damon? I said, let Damon live his life, Mom. Leave him alone. Well, my mom said, I want you to check on him. I went to the house and knocked on the door, and he didn't answer the door. And so I just went to the airport. And later that afternoon, I got a call on one of those little white courtesy phones that my brother had jumped off a bridge and committed suicide.
Oh my gosh, that had to be horrible.
Yeah. So it took me probably 3 years really
to get through that.
So I kind of just buried myself back in law school. And, my boyfriend, David, was my rock. I turned to my faith to help me get through. I ran more than I ever ran in my life. I ran twice a day. Running is so beautiful from that perspective.
It is so freeing.
It's so freeing. And Forrest Gump was right, that you just running.
My husband loves Forrest. He does Forrest imitations.
I was running. So yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So it's just saved my life. And I moved back with my mom. And my mom started writing those notes again. Oh my gosh, why I'm so sentimental today. She started writing notes again and putting them on the mirror in our bathroom. And it was just, kind of felt like everything was okay. Got through law school, flunked the bar exam the first time. That was challenging. Ran my way through that, passed the second time. And I married the love of my life. And so that story in a nutshell, there's more, but, just leave it like that. But, just I looked back and I'm like, hey, get through all that, And I felt always after I graduated from law school, I should just be a normal lawyer, work in an office, negotiate contracts. And I always knew I wanted to be a legal aid attorney. I knew I wanted to be deep down in the trenches with people, but I couldn't see how I was going to make money because I'm in debt. I don't have any money. And I was
from going to law school.
So I did the corporate thing and it helped pay off law school. I hated my life then, but I learned a lot. I had kids and I was in the corporate world and I kept getting promotions. And I realized how that training my dad had for me, I combined that with my legal training and my business training. And I was like, just the learning that I had and how I kept training myself. And mind you, by this time, after my brother died, I had started doing self-help books. I was Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, and I left the church for a little bit because I was like, I just didn't like it. But then I reconnected the two. So I've been doing a lot of homework, a lot of retraining my brain, all that stuff. So I can talk forever. So you need to shut me up when you shut me up, because
I don't want to shut you up. I like to hear your story.
yeah.
How did your faith in God help you through all that?
Well, when my husband said, he's so funny because, he would say, you actually believe that? You actually believe the words in the Bible? And I go, it's either that or a bottle of vodka. I said, because I am believing it. I believe it. I believe that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, right? It's personal to me. I'm not doing, this is what I know for sure. I believe that I can depend upon him and he will direct my path. I believe that if I lay my burdens down to him, he will refresh me. And so I journal every day. I read my Bible every day. Every day. When I say every day, I mean every day. So it is a ritual that I have incorporated into my life because I need it. I can't, I realized for a little bit when I was in the corporate world, because I had a time when I was drinking that vodka. And I saw how I was slipping away. Oh, I was slipping away. I'm making buku cash, right? But I was like I could just see myself. You ever saw The Lion Thief, or what is that name of that show? It's called The Lion Thief. It's anyways, he goes there's these kids who are trying to get to this little something or other, and they're at this casino, and these people are walking around with lotus flowers. And if you eat a lotus flower, you forget, you become unconscious, and all you do is party. And it's just fun, right? But then you don't realize that you're just stuck in this fantasy and fake, place, and you're not really getting to your goal. And I realized I was eating lotus flowers. I was sucking into what the world says is pretty and flashy, and really not liking Diana. I was losing it. And so then I was like,
you weren't finding your purpose. You were what you were meant to do.
Right. And I was like, I don't ever want to do that. And I was just like, I felt like I was taking a shower and getting stuff off of me. Like, I can't do this. This is really going to ruin my life, my kids' life, everything. And so I quit. I quit the corporate life. And I'm not saying corporate life is bad. It just wasn't right for me at that time. That's not what it was in the cards for me. It was the best thing I could have done. And that's when I went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. And I went to school. And that's when my husband was like, okay, my wife is officially going crazy, because I was flying back and forth to New York. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, I did. I go, if you want a sane life, you have got to let me do this. And I did it. And by the end of that school year, I was the student of the year. I got to speak at the graduation.
I love that.
And it was amazing. It's an amazing experience. The other thing that caught me was I tried out for health magazines. They had do you believe you're the face of health? Well, I did. I said, yeah. So I wrote this thing, and then I won. And I went to New York, because to tell you though, I was supposed to go to New York to model when I was in that airport. I was supposed to go to New York and model when my brother died, and I never went. And when I won that award, more than 10 years later, I believe that was God's. Oh gosh, what is wrong with me?
Oh, nothing's wrong with you. You're touching my heart right now. And I hope that somebody out there, that this will be an inspiration for them, that maybe they're going through a struggle similar, because people are so afraid to talk about their most inward struggles and the things that cause them pain, because we want everything to be pretty and we hide behind a mask. Yeah. And you can't help anyone hiding. The only way you can help someone is coming out and being and sharing the power of the truth.
Yeah. And it's so funny just because I'm a sentimental right now because my son is graduating. He graduated. He's going to be going to college. And I think these last 3 weeks have just been a process.
It's hard.
For me.
I know.
So,
I cried before my son went to college.
I've been breaking down in yoga class. And it's just been really challenging. But because I know God is faithful, you know, he never, ever, ever leaves you, and he never forsakes you. And he has a specific plan for you. And I believe that. And so when I won that, you know, from Health Magazine, I just felt like, thanks, God, that was beautiful. And because, you know, I just know that everything's about seasons and it's about timing. And if you're praying and you have desires, you have certain goals, you know, he wants to help you meet those desires. But you have to slow down to recognize the power that he has. And you see it. First, it's living with a life of gratitude and constantly being grateful for your life. And when you're busy, you don't live in gratitude. I mean, when you're constantly going, you don't live in that. And so the more I started slowing down, the more I started, you know, running was helping that slow down process. But I noticed that when I was crazy, I wasn't connecting enough with that process of running. And so, yeah, that's, there's just so many beautiful blessings that I have to share, just beyond what, after getting married. And that hasn't been perfect either. I sit up here and say, that hasn't been perfect either.
Life is not, life is messy. It wouldn't be a good movie if it was all perfect.
Right, yeah. So,
and I know, like, you've got the inspiration in your shoes. And I know for myself, when I was writing my book, my main inspiration always came when I was out running. I mean, like, the ideas just flow, and I'd have my iPhone, and I'd have to talk into it and like do my notes. And I wrote half of my book while running.
That's right.
And so I absolutely loved your prologue to your book. It's like a poem.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, inspiration. Are you able to share that with the listeners?
Yeah, I have my book right here.
I love that.
And it just is, you know, Amanda helped me with this, and she just it was a little gift that she helped me just braid together. It says, when I am running, I am free. When I am running, I am alive. As I pull in each breath, I connect with a deeper part of me, a part of me which is reserved for God, an existential space. Running is beauty to me. A well of gratitude spills over inside of me when I am running, for not everyone has the privilege to run freely or at all. Running feeds my spirit, and it connects it to my mind and my body. When I am running, I am whole. When I run, I take in life. I think clear. Inspiration washes over me, and the fruits of the spiritual feeding help me to work out the emotional kinks of life. It clears away the fog, and I chase down the path which leads to the truest version of myself. When I am running, I am healing. I am running before I'm running. While I tie my shoes, I'm already there. I am already concentrating on the things my brain will be working out that day. I don't stretch. Sounds bad. I don't fuss with headphones or my smartphone. I don't distract myself. I just run, both with my body and my mind. When I am running, I feel my heartbeat. I love to feel it pumping, pushing me. As it works harder, I breathe deeper and spread out my steps like a sprinting fawn. My mind and my body work in tandem, and I feel alive. I feel connected to my purpose. When I'm running, I am speaking with God. That's it.
That's beautiful.
It is very true. All of that.
Running is like an escape from everything, and just to when you feel most yourself, right?
Right. You know, and so much so that when I sustained a labrum tear last year in my hip, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Oh, I bet.
Because the orthopedic said, you can still run. And I said, I can, but how did I get this tear? Well, as a body, because I've been running since I was 13. So for those people out there who are runners, you need to stretch. Because I said I don't stretch.
Yeah.
And I found out that because I used to triple jump, I long jumped in college, really hard on the hips. And so now in my late 40s, I came to find out that your body, because my hips have always popped, and I have what's called hip impingements, and it's where the bone and
Okay.
socket do not neatly fall in it. So because I used to pop my hip, it's just because there's an impingement. Over time, if you don't keep stretching, your ligaments will take the brunt of it. And so when I started doing physical therapy, I realized, oh my gosh, this is yoga. And so I was like,
Did you start doing yoga
I
then?
started doing yoga. And the more I did yoga, the less pain I had. And so now I really was like, how am I going to get what I got from running from yoga? And I don't know if I'd ever get the two.
You got
And
more, right? You got
well,
more.
I got more through Ashtanga yoga.
Yeah.
And Dowie. I just wrote a little blog article on it.
I saw that. Rip the bandage off.
Rip
I
the
was like,
bandage
oh,
off.
I've got to read
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about your blog and the healing powers of yoga and connecting with your mind and body.
Oh, I just got chills. Okay, well, first of all, my girl Dowie, I love her so much because, see, I believe that your instructor or the person teaching you is just much a part of that process, right? It's the energy you feel. So I have to give major shouts out to Dowie because she just opened up a world that I did not know existed. Ashtanga yoga is, and there's all different forms of yoga, and not everybody is for Ashtanga yoga, but it's challenging.
That's one of my favorite.
Yeah, most runners like Ashtanga yoga because there's this staying power that you have to. It's about strength and stability. You're breathing a lot, but you breathe in running, and there is no music. It's just you and your mind. And that's what running is, right? It's just you and your mind. So when you calm the mind down, the breath is fluid and the body responds to that. And so what I've come to recognize is when I'm crazy with my thoughts or I'm just like overwhelmed with stuff, I'm not able to do yoga very well. I'm not able to, get through the poses very well. But when I stop and calm myself down and breathe in through my nose and out very slowly through those 5 breaths, it is a connection that is off the charts amazing. And then you're in there with other people. So the energy you get from other people is awesome. And then your body is just like you come out and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in better shape than I feel like I've ever been. I'm stronger than I've ever been. My spine, my posture, everything is completely wonderful. And I have no hip pain. So I was like, I gotta do this for the rest of my life.
So it gives you the body and the mind of a teenager. I mean, it's
awesome.
It's flexible strength. And
yeah.
I think, anyone out there that wants to have longevity and feel young into their 90s, they should do some yoga. It's amazing. It's amazing. So how do you feel that brought healing into your life?
Well, the healing part of it is that it's a sacrifice, it's obedience. And because I have learned that when I go in there and I've been, this last 4 weeks have been CJ and college and all this other stuff. When you slow your mind down enough, you get to see things that you may not see in a normal sense. And you get to work through that and they get to lay that down and let it go because I can't do anything about that. And it's a matter of obedience by saying, I'm going to let that go. And again, it's like running and that You get to heal your mind, to say, you get to tell yourself through affirmations that God's made me beautiful. And all the affirmations that I would say, and I say to myself and I put in my journal, I repeat that in my mind when I'm doing yoga. And I just feel there's certain things I might set forth an intention for that day. I can concentrate on that intention for an hour and 15 minutes. And I'm sweating and I'm really realizing that I can do this through God. I can do this. And the healing comes in because I feel whole. I feel like I can do anything. Honestly, I feel like if I can do this, I can do anything, because it's at 5:30 in the morning. And you're doing it for an hour and 15 minutes. And it's such an act of obedience that, you do. And then I thought of traditions of the old and even Jewish people back, when I'm thinking about in the Bible, it was all about that. It was all about sacrificing and putting down and taking time to pray and really having those specific times of obedience. And I already do the journal. I'd already done the journaling and the praying in the morning time, but then combining that with that practice has been really powerful for me.
Well, yeah. And I know, like, some people think, oh, that's not Christian to do yoga, but it is. It's a spiritual experience. And I think you make it the spiritual experience that you want it to be. So it's really, I guess, what you bring to it and how you use it for your good.
I've had people say that. Yeah.
I also noticed when I teach yoga, and I've taught it for many, many moons. And I noticed that one of the things, you could come in, you could be pissed off, you can't hang on to it. You can't do yoga and be pissed off.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You have to let it go. And you have gratitude. And it's crazy, but like in the relaxation mode, when you've let go of everything, that is in the time that people kind of get emotional. They'll either can cry. I've had people cry or start laughing or whatever. And, others may think, oh, that's weird. It's an emotional release. It's all these emotions that you've stuffed down inside and you've gotten slow enough and let like your body and your mind calm that you could release those emotions that you've stuffed down.
Yeah. And I believe, to answer or to kind of give a little voice to what you said about Christian and yoga. First of all, I am the church. And I believe that I hold the spirit within me. Yeah. And so it's good for me to go through my own spiritual renewal. This is no different than going to church. So I go to church. I'm supposed to have that same experience when I go to church. It's an opportunity to release. That's the reason why you sing songs. It's the reason why you do those things. Yoga is just another form of that. It's the opportunity for you to release and to allow to God to have a washing, a renewal of you. And I wrote on my blog, it feels like I just sit at his feet as he renews my mind and my spirit to do the work. This is hard work I'm doing, right? Very, very challenging work with the human condition. If I have a flawed human condition that's deeply flawed, because we're all flawed, but that's deeply flawed and misaligned, I am not helping anyone in that process. I am simply getting therapy that's not correct. And a lot of people who are in the helps profession have not done the homework that I say that they need to do in order to go into life's fire and not get burned out. You have to have a battle strategy. You have to have a strategy to sustain that war. And most people are not equipped. And a part of that is this practice that I'm talking about. Yeah.
Well, I know I certainly have used it in my life for so much. And so I'm a big believer in doing the yoga, and I believe it helps you in so many areas.
Absolutely.
With your health, your mind, your body, your spirit. And I think it is what you bring to it.
Yeah.
So I know you are also, on another note, an advocate to young
Yeah.
people.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you tell us maybe some stories of people that you've helped?
Hmm. Yeah. So what I primarily do is I'm on the board for the Polyfox Academy. And in that role, I don't just go to board meetings and just eat the food. I actually created a program called Head Full of Dreams. And with this program, I work with the teachers. Well, actually, the teachers choose a student who has good attitude, hard work. And I have to say, these are pregnant and mothering teens, okay? You know, have a baby when they're 13. Can you imagine it? Having a baby when you're 15, 16, that kind of thing. And so this Head Full of Dreams, let me back up even more. We developed this program as a means to let them know that they're valued. We take a picture of them. We have them hold a picture of their dreams, and then we put it on what's called a Head Full of Dreams wall. And I thought of Head Full of Dreams because I'm thinking of my man Coldplay, Chris Martin, who I love, and that's the title of his album. And I got that idea while running. To make this Head Full of Dreams program. And every month I meet with the girls. I take them out to lunch. I give them a copy of my book. I inspire and I encourage them to believe in themselves, to stand up for themselves, to have certain types of affirmations for themselves. That's what I do often. The advocacy piece is if they come to me and they need some assistance, or if they need to be able to talk through something, I can help them through a lot of that. I haven't done a lot of legal advocacy. I've connected them to individuals who can help them. But the advocacy comes in of advocating for their own selves. It's having them believe in more than what they see around them. Because I never saw any of this when I'm living in right now. I never saw any of this when I was 14. So I also work with another school, Chase STEM Elementary. I worked with the girls to every single couple weeks I'd go in and I'd give them little affirmation cards. We talk about those affirmation cards, and I would say and have them write down what that is to them. I took them to the Hidden Figures movie. And we watched Hidden Figures.
That movie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm having them write a paper about how they see themselves. Who are they? Which of those three women are they? And what adversity do they have to face? What do you see? How do you see that in your life? Will you learn from them? How can you then use those positive things and incorporate it into your life? Advocacy that I do, it's really allowing people to see who they are and knowing their voice and understanding that they have a voice, because that's a big part of advocacy.
How do you help someone see their voice? What is their real voice? Because they think it might, I'm supposed to be this way, or dad or mom wants me to be this way. My husband wants me to be this way. And then all of a sudden they don't know who they really are.
Right.
How do you help them see what their true identity is?
Well, first of all, it starts with, what words are you saying to yourself every single day that are not of value to you? In other words, you're putting yourself down. And again, that requires people to slow down a little bit, because so many people do that in adult life and in child life, and then what is it that you see that you love to do that other people might think is like off the charts crazy? For me, I love to talk. I use my hands all the time. I'm constantly that person has to go, don't raise your hand. Let someone else raise their hand. You don't talk. Just be quiet, And it's not me, and I always felt from a family of 7 that I wanted to be like my sister Janelle. And I even wrote a little blog about that. I wanted to be like her because she was so quiet and it seemed like everybody got along with her. She caused no waves. Everything was, but that's Janelle. And that's a beautiful thing that's Janelle. That's not me. So I would always say to people, like, who do you compare yourself to? And why do you feel like you need to compare yourself to them? And then I also would talk about, what are the things that you find that you just automatically do, and you need to start to value in yourself. If you could wave a magic wand and you could do anything in the world, what would it be? What would it be? And it's really getting into those little things and what lies you've been telling yourself that you can't do. And so those are the basic principles of that. And then I use other types of books and stuff like that to kind of get to a level of self-awareness, like Emotional Intelligence. I love that book. And it helps you kind of understand to be self-aware of some of the emotions that you've built up and you do for yourself, that you have built up, that you aren't even aware of yourself. And so Emotional Intelligence 2.0 is a book that allows you to take a test to see what are your self-aware, how self-aware are you? How do you manage yourself? What are the things that you're doing to kind of help manage those emotions that come out of you? Strengths Finder is another book that I love. It helps people to understand their strengths. Those are so powerful because it just makes you feel like, I am good at that. That is me. Why have I been trying to be the weak? Why have I been trying to work on that?
Right. Well, I think it's good to still work on some weaknesses, but I do believe it's so much better to concentrate on your strengths.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think it's good to be, but when you combine Strengths Finder with Emotional Intelligence, it allows you to understand some of those things, because even some of your strengths can be your weakness, because it can, without good boundaries on anything, it could derail you.
So how do people set better boundaries? Because I know that is a real problem. Mm-hmm. People really have trouble with that.
Yeah, but you have to formulate a practice. You've got to get into, and people hate it when I say this, but I believe in the power of journaling. I believe in the power of meditation. I believe in the power of prayer. I believe in slowing yourself down to read, and you have to do that again to kind of understand what these little narratives you have playing in your head. Because you are your own worst enemy. You are your enemy. Everybody is their own enemy, not everybody else. I believe in the 7 habits of the highly effective people. Is the first one is, stop blaming everybody else. Stop blaming everybody for your own issues. Own up to them. The other one thing I believe in is forgiveness.
That's the only way you have power, right? Yeah. Owning up to your own issues.
Exactly. And forgiveness is a very powerful tool. If I never forgave my father, there's no way I would be doing any of this right now.
Yeah. I mean, really, you learn true power of forgiveness because there are people in life that are going to do you wrong. And
every day.
And they may not apologize. Mm-hmm. And you have to learn to say, okay, they did me wrong, but I'm going to let go of that. That's power. Yeah. That's power. And I know you talked about how you were your own worst enemy, and you had the feelings of unworthiness. Mm-hmm. What did you do? Because I know a lot of us out there don't feel worthy of that, and don't feel worthy of what we want. How did you turn that story around and change that to one of, I am worthy of that?
Mm-hmm. Again, I looked through the power of God and the scriptures that teach me that I am worthy, that I am valued, that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, that you are beautiful, that you're confident, you are strong. You can do all things through Christ every single day. And it's so funny because when people, I'm getting a little scripture-ish, but when
it's
the Pharisees were asking,
we could probably all use a little bit of that in our life. And if anybody's offended, I'm not going to apologize.
This is my life, and I'm not trying to be politically correct. But for me, because everybody has their own methodology, for me, what I've done is we complicate things. And I was getting ready to reference that when the Pharisees asked, well, what do we need to do to asking Jesus to, what's the greatest commandment of all? And he says, love. To love your neighbor as yourself. So if it can be that simple, it's to love. Diana, it can be that simple for you to love yourself. Well, what does that mean to love yourself? It means that I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. It means that I do have to guard my heart above all else. People that are in my very, 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 very close circle of friends, I hold that as a holy space. It's a holy space. I have lots of friends and people, but those people that I hold very close and dear, it's a very unique opportunity for me and that other person. So that's a very protected space. Okay. And a lot of people don't get all of that, So if someone says something to me or against me that they don't know me, I don't take it personal because they don't know me. They don't know me, and they don't know. That's a reflection on them. If you ever read the book, The Four Agreements,
that's a great book. I just talked about that on my last podcast.
Yes. So, taking things personally, well, that's a reflection on them. Unless they really, really, if they say they really, then that requires a conversation a little further. But for me, it was affirmations and prayer and meditation and really starting to believe in something bigger than myself and realizing I am not alone on this earth. I have a goal and a mission to get to. And I started to make a mission statement for myself. I wrote out my values. I wrote out my little things that I needed to do to stay on that path, things that were going to be getting in the way. This is years of homework, okay? Because I realized I have a really deep amount of work to do. So the things I've done for myself are the things that I try to teach other people. And this is where I always say my methodology may not be for everyone, but it is for people that I believe are in the helps profession, because you already signed up for this. You are a helper. And you went, a lot of with school counselors, they went to school for this. We beat by the same drum, helpers, people. And so I know if I had to do all this work, I know everybody else has to do all this work, because I'm not saying everybody had to deal with childhood trauma, but you're going to be dealing with people who have childhood trauma, and it's very traumatic. So how do you then go to sleep at night and take all that and pull it out of your brain and go to sleep and have what's called sweet sleep? You only do that by doing a daily practice of your own homework, and then you can go into your daily life.
And you were talking about sleep, and it's just so funny because this kind of went through my mind as you were talking. I kind of prayed, how do I become a better leader? How do I give what it is you want me to give? And I woke up in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. I felt that I had to write this, that I was getting my dream down. Yeah. I had to write it down, and I couldn't go back to sleep, and I couldn't rest until I wrote it down. And it was 2 words: love leads. And you were just talking about love. And I had to write it down. I wasn't really quite awake, and I put it in my notes. And then when I went back to remember that the next day, I was just like, wow. At first I was like, why did I wake up in the middle of the night to write that down? Yeah. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, whoa, that is powerful. Powerful. Love leads.
See, we're all powerful like that. Every single person has that power. Hardly anyone taps into it. And I just believe that I want to be, and my sister and I were talking about, one of my sisters, Janelle, and I were talking, I want to be wise. I want to live with wisdom. And with wisdom, that's a pretty big, Solomon asked for that in the Bible. And it's a pretty big thing to ask for wisdom. It requires a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah. And you may have some tough times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You will have tough times because you can't have a message without mess. You can't have a testimony without a test. And so you're going to have to go through these challenging situations, and everything you go through, you have to believe that everything you go through is about that learning process. It's training, right? That's that training I talk about. So you have to go, okay, this happened to me. Did it just happen? It happened. Yes, it's awful. It happened. God's going to reveal to me why that happened. And it's painful right now, but it's going to be, I'm going to learn. I'm going to have that understanding. And so I just live like that. And the other thing people have to know, you cannot be trying to be everybody's best friend. And you cannot be trying to be like, your message is going to be for everybody. It's not going to be for everybody. And you are going to have haters. People aren't going to like you. So get over it. You're going to get negative comments. People, you know what? So it's just like if you get offended, you need more homework. Because I know a lot of people like, well, I don't know why she would say that. I'm like, do you sleep with this person? Do you live with this person? I mean, if not, then get over that, you know, because they don't know you.
You don't have to be with them. And you're only, and actually, if you carry everything they said about you in your mind, they're with you all the time.
Right. And it's so many people live like that. Like they get offended by someone's comment on Facebook. I'm like, okay, well then if you don't like it, delete it and then move on. I mean, it's just like, I know that is a problem for a lot of people. But again, to guard your heart above all else, to allow comments like that to bounce off you is a very, very big thing. Again, let me clarify, if these are people in your very close circle, these are people you hold true and value and you cherish them, then that requires more conversation. And if it doesn't come, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So like if it's your husband who says that, or your best friend who is in your married, or, you know, that's different.
Right.
So, yeah.
And you know what Joel Osteen says is trouble is your transportation. And so when trouble is coming, you're getting ready to be promoted, because you wouldn't be going through that if there wasn't something better for you.
I just so believe that. I'm going to always live my life that way. I said, I'm going to always live my life that way. You know, I know what it's like to live a life feeling like life is awful. I lived a lot of that, you know, but I said, I'm living my whole adult life the other way.
You said in your book that you felt imprisoned, like when you were, your father, it was abusive, and you felt trapped. And I know there's a lot of people out there in relationships that might be verbally abusive, in situations where someone's always trying to hold them back, and they feel trapped and imprisoned. What advice would you give them to free themselves?
Well, first of all, you need counseling to understand if you are trapped mentally. The struggle is real when it comes to loving this person who is abusing you. Because you have to ask yourself, do you know what love is? Love is patient. It's kind. It doesn't boast. It doesn't keep a record of wrongs. It does not do those things. Love is kind. It's taking the time. It's patience. If you don't have that expression of love in your life, then I would question that, are you first of all loving yourself enough to do it? And so a lot of people don't feel valued enough to believe that they deserve to have someone in your life. I know my first boyfriend was that way, but I had to realize I am picking and choosing the same smut, the same, you know, bowel movement crap that I had before. Why am I doing that? Why am I choosing the same crap that I went from? It's like a dog going back to its own vomit. Why? It's because you need to train your brain. The narrative that you are playing to yourself, the lotus flower that you keep eating, is keeping you trapped in your own brain. So for a lot of people like that, I would question whether they themselves are the ones holding themselves back. Because it takes time though. And I would say if you're someone who's on this call right now and you know that tonight you're probably going to go through that, take that chance, push them away. I did it with my daddy. Push them away. Call 911. Make that step. You might have to go through a little bit of retaliation, but you're going to make it. There's always, every single day is a new day. It's a new renewal. It's a refreshment. You can do it, but you have to be the one to take that step. And it ain't going to be easy. It's not going to be easy.
Yep. Don't let anyone take away your morning. Like
I know.
that's your new day, and every day is new and a
Hmm.
new chance to get it right and to live your life in truth and free of any
Hmm.
kind
Free.
of abuse.
Amen.
I don't believe God meant for us to live that way. And
Mm-mm.
in my own situation, I had to make that 911 call, and I'm a big believer. I'm a big believer in God, and
Hmm.
I wouldn't be here today if I
Hmm.
had not called upon the name of Jesus. I
Hmm.
wouldn't be alive. I
Mm.
literally was being strangled to death by my husband
Mm.
and smothered under pillows.
Mm. Wow.
And I thought, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's not in his right mind. He's not gonna snap out of it,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna die here.
Hmm.
If I don't, I mean, I could die here right now,
Hmm.
and I won't even get to call upon the name of the Lord.
Hmm.
And I got this 1 second for a breath, and I called on Jesus,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that was it. He woke up to what he was doing.
Mm.
I just got that one word,
Mm.
Jesus,
Mm.
and he woke up to what he was doing. And I ran away,
Mm.
locked myself in the bathroom.
Mm.
And so basically that was a rough time. There was many rough times like that.
Mhm.
And I could remember I would pray and would be like, God, I just can't take this anymore.
Mhm.
And then, one day I heard an audible voice. Yeah,
Mhm.
yes, you're right. Get out.
Mhm.
And I think I was raised in church, so I had a misconception
Mhm.
of what God expects of us.
Mhm.
And when I woke up to the reality of what he created me
Mhm.
for and to be, that was not it.
Right.
And that is when I left for myself and
Mhm.
my two children
Mhm.
and became who I am now. And so I went
Amen.
through adversity, I went through struggle,
Mhm.
and many, many things. Like, how you talked about your brother.
Mhm.
Um, my mother had manic depression, so that kind of set me up for a whole
Mhm.
gamut of maybe maybe why I ended up with the husband that was like that,
Right.
and then the sexual abuse
Yeah.
from a close family member. And
Mhm.
so I am just here to say, not to do a soapbox or whatever, to say that you can go through those things, but you can come out
Mhm.
a victor. You
Yes.
can you can you can push it away.
Right.
You can walk away.
Yep.
You can become your own best friend, your
Yep.
advocate, and be strong and have a life beyond your wildest dreams. You
Right.
can. You
Yes.
can.
I love that.
Absolutely.
No wonder we're connected. Because I think what happens is you continue to live intentional, God brings these people in your life. And because I know when I say I advocate for young girls, they have to believe they can. Because me believing they can is one thing, but they have to believe it. And when they get their frontal lobe and everything comes together, when they're like in their late 20s and the light bulb goes off, then I'm like, that lady, that Diana lady, she said this to me when I was 16. I wasn't believing her then. It's going to come. The light bulb's
It's
going to
gonna
come.
click. It's gonna
It's going to,
click,
it's going to click.
and they're gonna know. And another thing that really clicked with me was when you talked about. I was listening to your book. In your dreams,
Mm,
you believed you could fly,
yeah.
and you would be untouchable,
Mm-hmm,
and you would
mm-hmm,
fly above it all.
mm-hmm,
You would
mm-hmm,
fly above it all. I can
mm-hmm.
remember the same thing
Really?
with the flying. I would literally, as a kid, not only would I
Ah,
dream about flying, I would literally jump off my couch when my brother and I would do all our gymnastics on the couch.
yeah.
I would try to fly. I literally,
Oh, that's awesome.
I
I
literally
wonder.
believed I could fly. And so it's just funny. Why I think that's kind of this. I don't know what it is. Why I don't know why, but I just know that um, the other day Fitness Universe posted my picture where I literally look like I'm flying. I'm doing a fitness routine.
I love it.
And they said those that believe in their dreams can fly.
Oh, I love it.
So I'm kind of thinking, believe, and you can fly, know?
Yeah, it's
you
true.
can soar your dreams. Believe in your dreams. You are worthy of having what you feel inside, and don't let anyone take that away from you.
Yeah. I tell my girls, you're going to cry yourself to sleep a lot. It's just reality. You'll have times when you don't know, but you have to, those times will come. But then you have to believe in something more. But that's why I believe you and I can't just sit in an office. I mean, we have to be out and about among people, being a physical representation of what we're talking about. Because the deep-seated wounds that people deal with are horrendous, and it's real to them, and I get it. But then being very transparent, vulnerable, and real with people and letting them know, I get it. I understand that. I've been there. Because a lot of people, you don't even understand what I've had to go through. Oh, I do. I do. And you do. And that's why I believe that, if you haven't had a problem in your life and everything's great or whatever, my message may not resonate with you. But for people who struggle, who really, really struggle, or who really want to live something beyond their brain, what their brain and what the world says, them's my people. Because I believe that they, everybody, but see, what and I know is that most people don't use the full capacity of the brain. And when you use the full capacity of your brain, it requires the practices that we're talking about. And, but then there's this catch-22. When you use the full depths of what your brain can actually do, it can drive you a little crazy if you don't have a practice. It can drive you crazy. And that's why you have people who've done these amazing things in this world that you're like, wow. Well, I bet you if you've, and they lost it, I bet you if you take some time and listen to them, they would be saying the same things that you and I are saying. That it requires you getting through adversity. I feel like adversity is your biggest strength. I just totally believe that adversity can be your biggest strength. It really can. So
yeah, through your struggles, you become strong.
Yeah, so good.
Absolutely.
Wow. Oh my gosh, we are like, amen to this. This is a good
There was
thing.
so much I could say. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is just so meant to be today.
Yeah, totally.
So much
Thank
for
you.
coming on and sharing your message and your truth and just being who you are. It's just, I love your book. I'm so excited to finish it. Yeah. I'm only a little bit through it, but it is amazing. And where can people get it? Yeah. Where can they get you?
They can go onto Amazon, but I always suggest that you go to my website, dianarpatton.com. Pick up a free chapter, just read that chapter and see if it resonates with you, then buy it. Or there's an audio clip there on my website. And if, because there's nothing worse than, you kind of want to try it on, right? So try it on. If it works for you, then you can buy it on Amazon.
Oh my gosh. The audio clip, you guys, is so eloquent and just beautiful. You are such a great narrator.
Oh, it was hard, girl.
Yeah.
That was a hard book to read.
Without crying sometimes, right?
Did you hear? I mean, you'll hear times
I wanted to cry. I just wanted to cry myself.
I told the guy that would, because there's a person there that helps, do everything. And I told him right when we started, I said, okay, I'm going to cry, but just give me a second. Just give me a second. And then I want to go right back. Don't say, okay, would you like to take a break, like a full break? Because I got to get through this because I don't have a whole week, so we got it done in 3 days. But, I just was like, I'm going to get through this. I kept telling using my own affirmations. We're going to do this. You can do all things, but there were times when I had those breakdowns, but that was the real part. So people could understand, I love those books when you can hear a person's heart,
I do. And I'm so picky. I know, like, I bought a few books recently. I want it to be the real thing, baby. I want it to be the authentic, the person.
Yeah.
And when it isn't, like, or they only read a chapter, I am like so disappointed.
Yeah, I know.
So I was so happy it was you.
You know how you watch those movies? Is this a real story? Is this a true story? Dang, this is awesome. You want to know.
Yeah.
Same thing with audiobooks. Like, is this the person reading?
Yeah.
It's awesome. Thank you so much.
It's been the best conversation, and I am so glad I connected with you today.
Me too.
Thank
you.
Would you all give Diana some love, subscribe to the Sisterhood of Sweat, and write a review? Let her know if this podcast helped you, if you resonated with it, if you felt what we were putting down today. And thank you guys all for listening. Thank you so much, Diana.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you. And I love everything about you. I have to read your book. Thank you. Thank you.